I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What is up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of the Never Have I Ever After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We love this show so much. We can't wait to talk about these two episodes with you. We are going to be breaking down episodes 3 and 4 from this amazing show, and I am not doing it alone. I'm your host, Bryant Santos, and with me I have two of the best voices possible to talk about this incredible show. First up, we have the Bollywood fanatic who is an Indian living in the US, giving us the perfect perspective for this amazing show. Please welcome Shiksha Mahtani.
Hey guys, thank you so much, Bryant. So excited to be talking about this amazing show with you guys.
I am so excited to talk about it with you. I can't wait to get into it all with the amazing K-pop lover, K-pop fanatic, K-pop News Weekly. She is Trina Dong.
What's up? I'm so excited always to talk about the show. I'll talk about it all day long. Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. I was going to get some overall thoughts, but I feel like these two episodes were kind of too far off to do that. So I feel like I kind of want to just jump into episode 3 and kind of break that down, and then we'll move into episode 4 after.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. All right, so let's start with episode 3. They're working on this group project. Paxton chooses to work with Devi, and they get to work on the project. He gives her a cute nickname. All of that happens. So Trent calls about the party. He says, we're going to have a party, light bulb for Devi. So she goes to the party behind her mom's back. Trina, tell me your thoughts. Have you ever snuck out to a party?
I'm not that cool. No, I never did that. I had an Asian immigrant father that would kill me if that happened. So no, I didn't do that. But I love her fire. I love that she did it because she doesn't care. She wants to go to this party. She'll bring the party favor that her mother has asked her to bring. And that's probably the only thing that she'll abide by. And yes. I love it. I did feel a little bad that he said that he wanted her to be a part of their group because he knows it'll get them a good A. But you know what? Us, Devi, we're all going to take what we can get from Paxton at this point. So I'm not mad at any of it.
Yes, I'll take anything I can get from Paxton, even if he slaps me. I'm just kidding. But she's gonna tell me, Devi gets to the party and sees Paxton with another girl, and she's shook. Tell me what you were feeling in that moment.
I was feeling like she needed to have a little bit more self-respect because she was just falling head over heels over Paxton. I mean, it just kept coming up how much she likes him, how much she wants him, and I'm just like, okay, girl, pull it back a little bit. Indian girls tend to be a little bit more on the conservative side, a little bit more held back. I mean, if you grew up in the US, then that's not as much. But still, this was super out there, especially for an Indian in the US. That being said, I know that it's Mindy Kaling's show, and Mindy Kaling is a very out there person. She in everything that she does. So I think that this is really portraying Mindy's personality through Devi's character.
Absolutely. I love that. And this first kind of 10 minutes, it kind of ran through everything. They had the project and they went to the party. So everything kind of happened super, super fast. And then we get to the party and Devi is so shook by Ben showing up, obviously, and she calls him a tryhard. So Trina, do you think he's a tryhard? What are your thoughts on Ben at this point?
Ben bugged me, y'all. Because I'm so team Devi and her girl squad, no matter what they do. If they're in the right, if they're in the wrong, I don't really care. So Ben is also my arch nemesis as well. That's all I have on that.
Same here. I feel the exact same way. Well, we get to see Devi and Paxton vibes when he rescues her from the Coyote attack. And I was so here for it. But before we got there, we see her have this interaction with the Coyote. She obviously says that she saw her father in that moment, which was so touching. But I think our therapist was a little bit shook. So could tell me your thoughts on that whole interaction with the therapist.
I feel like the therapist was doing the best that she could considering the situation. To tell her that, talk to the, that's what she said, right? Talk to the Coyote, and next time you see it, she told her that it's not really your dad, but Devi was insisting that it was her dad. I think that the therapist handled it fairly well considering. Just because of how sensitive an issue it is. I mean, she lost a parent, and
Yeah.
I don't know how she could have handled it any better.
For sure. I 100% agree. So she did that. She did speak to the coyote at the party. Obviously, everybody thought she was out of her damn mind for going up to that coyote, and he bit her. The coyote bit her, and everyone freaked out. But Paxton, her knight in shining armor, came in, swooped in, saved the day, brought her to the hospital. Trina, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? Because I was just in it.
I was thinking a lot. I was feeling a lot. But first, to go back to who you just asked me about, did we all recognize that Ben just came to a halt and stood there and watched her
Right.
bleed out,
Seriously.
ground, and just didn't do anything? And this person has known her, whether they're rivals or not, they've known each other since kindergarten. And you couldn't run over to make sure that she's okay, or at least pretend to care. And then Paxton threw him out of the way, which was obviously a great plan for us to see who the real hero is in this whole thing. But I thought that was just classic Ben Gross. But I loved.
Oh, he was in shock, you guys.
No, he could have swooped in there and at least tried. If Paxton's not in shock, he doesn't have to be either. I don't know, maybe. I don't know what I would do. I definitely wouldn't run up to someone that's bleeding from the arm from a coyote.
Honestly, me too.
But of course, Paxton coming to save the day was so obvious and perfect.
Yes. All right. So we get to the hospital, and what's even more amazing is he wants to show everyone that she's still okay. So we're just getting all the amazing Paxton and Devi vibes. He posts on his grid, not the story. You guys, when I tell you, like, that's it. Because, you're not just going to be there for 24 hours, like Devi said. You're going to be there forever until he's done with you. So I was so here for it. I just have to weigh that in on that moment because I was absolutely loving it. I love seeing all that. And even more than that, I just love seeing all these different layers from Paxton. You would think that he's just so shallow, just so this, like, aloof, we used this word last time, like aloof guy that doesn't really know anything, doesn't really care about anyone but himself, but he's so much more than that, and he obviously cares about Devi. I don't know if it's good or not, but apparently it's not because he friend-zoned her. So, Shiksha, when he did that, what were you thinking?
I mean, I was happy.
Why?
Okay, hear me out, okay?
Okay, let's do it.
Well, if she had actually slept with him just like that to lose her virginity, first of all, is so unrealistic coming from an Indian family, no matter how out there she is, especially for her first time like that with somebody you just don't know. And second of all, I was like, yeah, I'm rooting for Paxton right now. I love him, but I want them to be friends first anyway. So I was okay with it. I didn't want it to just be like one and done, I wanted it to be longer. So the fact that she's on his Instagram now and they're friends, that gave me hope almost. Just yeah.
That sounds right too. That sounds more right than where Bryant and I were going. Bryant and I tend to go the thirst route.
Same.
Y'all just wanted it to happen.
Seriously. So, oh my god.
Glad that you're here to knock some sense into both of us because you're totally right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, honestly, we're gonna have to keep going and with our thirst because I have to talk about Steve. So I know another hot topic is Steve, and he's a hot topic for several reasons. Trina, I know you're very, very passionate about it. So Kamala is inspired by her new obsession with Riverdale that she sees with Devi, which is so fun. I absolutely love that. I love Riverdale, so I was living for that. Me too. And they get back together. She brings in the Cheesecake Factory, and I was just obsessed. So Trina, I know you're a huge Steve person. Tell me your thoughts.
Okay. I thought she finally came to her senses. She brought him that Cheesecake Factory because Steve is it. Steve should be around. Steve is really nice. A little, what did we call it? Aloof. A little dim, perhaps, but no harm in that because he's really nice. He treats her well. And, she deserves to be with someone that she wants. But I also want to let you all know that there are people in the live chat right now.
Yes,
talking
please.
to us.
Shout them out. Shout them out.
So one person spoke up so far. Lucy McNair, hashtag Team Ben, hashtag Team Tomato Coyote. I don't know what that means.
I don't get that.
But
I don't get it.
I have a feeling
What?
it means something that has to do with Ben Gross, so I'm not sure I love it. But explain yourself, Lucy. I'll be watching over the chat. So thank you guys for tuning in. I will shout you out. But yes, Steve deserves to be in this entire series. He deserves to be all over it, and I want him to stay. And if Cheesecake Factory is what it takes, then that's what it takes.
The Cheesecake Factory and the Olive Garden. Amazing.
Okay, can I
Yes,
Please.
of course.
Yes. I want to hear. I love it.
Tell us what's right.
I have to be the Indian voice here, you guys. So, okay, looking at this situation realistically, I think her fling with Steve is awesome. He's so cute. He clearly cares about her, but that's all he could ever be for her is a fling. Because look at the way that he was talking about her and her culture and the arranged marriage and the way that things were related to the family. He doesn't understand it, and it's not like she can tell him and he'll get it. It's a deeper understanding, because Indians are so about the community and the culture and your family, and if somebody doesn't get that, how could they ever be your life partner? You know, so I think he's cute as a boyfriend, as a fling, but realistically speaking, no. Like, I'm rooting for him right now.
Okay.
Not long term.
Yes.
I mean, I'm also a little biased because I need the Asian male romantic lead.
That's fair.
Yes.
You know? But I get where you're coming from. He might not be the perfect fit for her, and I should start thinking about other people's feelings other than my own.
He's so cute, though.
I feel that.
He's perfect for right now, you know?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take it.
For now.
I'll take it from you.
love that.
That's all I need.
I want to dive more into this topic when we get to the next episode, because they do touch on it, especially when we meet our new Indian friend. So we will definitely talk about this more there. But the last thing I want to talk about with this episode 3 is Fab's story. So she's getting this mani-pedi with her mom, and she gets the chicken mani, which is hilarious. But
oh my god, that was the best scene.
It was so funny, honestly. She's like,
robot
computer. Yeah, can you do the computer or the robot? And then she was like, no, how about a chicken?
The lady was like, that's ugly. Yep, girl.
She was just done.
She was done with her. It was amazing. So what I want to know, though, is I don't know if you guys got the same thing from me, is the mom is kind of pushing Fab in this certain direction. You know, she's kind of bringing her to these girlier things, you know, of getting the mani-pedi, talking about boys. And obviously with that little moment we saw from last episode where Fab looks up at Eve, there's so much more, you know? So, and we even got a little bit more of it in this episode where they have the working together on the project. So Trina, tell me your thoughts on the mom. Do you think she has the right intention? Do you think she's just going through something? What are your thoughts on this?
I kind of think the mom is just trying so hard to connect with her daughter in the only way that she knows how. So our perspective is a little off because we know what the daughter's going through, but the mom has no idea. And I think that based on the personality of Fab and what she's interested in, the mom probably feels just completely disconnected from her. So the only way that she's trying to connect is how she knew how to connect when she was that age. I don't think it's intentional of trying to get her to be one way or be another. I think it's just a situation of she doesn't know how to communicate with this human. I don't think it's what some storylines like this make the parent out to be. I don't think that we're dealing with that here. Definitely.
Shiksha, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that coming out as gay is really hard, you know, for so many people. I mean, and I think that they're portraying that accurately. I happen to not be gay, so I haven't experienced that myself, but I have had friends who have. And from what I've seen is that they're pretty accurately showing how hard the internal battle can be. And I respect that because they're obviously focusing on more than one thing in this show. They're not just trying to show Indians and how they live in the US. They're also showing other other diverse aspects of life and portraying them accurately. And so that gained a lot of respect.
For sure. I 100% agree. And I'm just going to say now, because I'm sure all of you that are watching this after show have already watched the entire show like we have. So you know what's going to happen in the next 4 episodes. We're going to talk about it all when we get there. And I definitely have a lot of thoughts from my own personal perspective on Bab's story. So I can't wait to talk about it there. But before we get there, let's jump into episode 4. So this is all about, okay, Shiksha, tell me if I F this up, the pronunciation, but is it Ganesh Puja?
Ganesh. But in the show,
Puja.
they were saying Ganesha, which is not wrong. It's just, you can say Ganesh or Ganesha. Yeah.
Okay, Ganesh Puja. Okay, perfect. So
Puja
basically, that's the
prayer.
entire episode. Oh,
it means prayer.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
I love that. Well, that's another big storyline of the show. We had a lot of prayer in there. So yeah, this episode is all about Ganesh Puja, and I feel like it's a perfect time to kind of just break down even more that whole Indian aspect we were talking about, because this is definitely the episode where we see that so strong of the Indian culture. We see the family dynamic between the 3 of them and how they relate to other Indians in the community. So Shishka, I want to get your firsthand perspective. You know, how do you feel this show is portraying the Indian family?
Actually, they did a really good job, I think. You see all the different kinds of aunties. That was so accurate. The fact that they described aunties in the show as, you know, people who aren't related to you, but they have opinions about your life and you have to respect them anyway. And that is so true. Like, that's just the way it is. So the way that they were portraying it with the dancing and the singing and the colors and the shoes, they took their shoes off to do the prayer. Yeah. I didn't fully agree when they went in for the actual prayer. That part, but the rest of it, yes, it was a pretty good portrayal of what that kind of an event would look like.
Even
tell me
the
more
man
about that. Like, tell me why it was rubbing you the wrong way.
What was his name?
Are you talking about the guy that that gave the separate?
Pandit
prayer?
Pandit Raj?
Yes.
Pandit Raj. So Pandit Raj, okay, I'm torn about that because the way that they showed him was to be a little bit more modern, and you know, the way that he was talking, the jokes that he was making.
I see.
And I actually read some articles about this, and I know that Mindy Kaling was trying to portray the Pandit as being modern and just being another kind of a human. And I respect that. I don't hate that. But I also, in my experience, it's not as realistic. I found that they're just so much more holy. They're so much more religious than they showed him to be. Because when he started chanting the prayer, he's like, just kidding. You guys don't have to repeat that. That would never happen. Like, the Indians would just repeat it. They would just do it. You know? So because there are prayers that we just know. So I didn't hate it. It just from my experience, it didn't fully connect.
Got it. Makes sense. It was trying to be too. I see what you're saying. Like trying to be too modern, not real enough from like that perspective. Definitely.
But the religious could have been boring too. So maybe they were just trying to make it more lighthearted and funny. I get that.
Yeah, I love that. Well, before we get there, we have the whole like coffee encounter on the ride to Ganesh Puja. It was a ride, definitely. So we start with the coffee shop and this white family asking to take a picture with her in her sari. And I was just like cringing from every angle. Trina, how did you feel?
Yeah. These people, okay, so the mother was bad enough, right? That she was pushing her daughter toward it. But that man behind them, he was the one that really did it. I could not believe he chimed in to something that wasn't his problem. And he said, come on, she's just a little girl or whatever he said. Like, you're also teaming up on a kid. Like, this girl's also a young person that you don't need to, and not to mention all of the other things that are wrong with it aside from that. But it's also a person of a certain age that you're approaching, trying to force do something because you think she looks like a Disney character. Like, how much is wrong with what I just said? And there's so much more wrong. So I loved that they did that. I loved that they set it up like that because that is some of the realest stuff that would probably happen in a community like that. They're in Sherman Oaks.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, let's not forget, and no hate on Sherman Oaks. I'm literally sitting in Sherman Oaks right now. But, you know, that's what's going to happen at that fake Starbucks coffee bean, whatever it is. So I thought it was awful, but hilarious and amazing that they put it in there because it's such a real thing that we bump into in certain situations.
Definitely. Shiksha, your thoughts. I see your thoughts coming.
Yeah, go.
Well, because I've worn Indian clothes in public so many times here in the US, because I've grown up here. I'm even wearing an Indian top right now.
Hey, it's so pretty.
Amazing.
Represent. But
yes.
you know what? I think whenever I step out of the house in my Indian clothes, I get stares. It's just the way of life here. No matter where I go, people will turn their heads and just stare at me because they're not used to seeing me or seeing anybody in Indian clothing. But they're not going to come up and ask you for a picture either. So I think that was an exaggerated part of the story that they used just for comedic relief. Because I've been in a Starbucks in Indian clothes and people don't come and ask me for a picture, but they do stare. So that part was I just think
it is funny though, because like, what do they say? You should take a picture, it'll last longer. And so those people, like, they crossed that line and they did that. What you're like, how you feel when someone's staring at you like that, they did it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me, but I know it bothers others. So I think that's just the person.
For sure, and I think it's definitely the approach too, because the approach on their part was so wrong, so wrong in all aspects. So definitely. So we're heading to Ganesh Puja and we're in the car, and I just have to shout this out because I'm wearing a Fries Before Guys shirt.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nalini who throws that out there. That was hilarious. I loved it. I live for her. I think she is so great at so many layers in this show, you know. I mean, Shiksha weigh in on this as well, because I think that she adds so many different layers from like a comedic standpoint. She adds like this like really harsh mother aspect as well, someone who's like very, very stern. But I don't know what you're thinking, if you think that's a very good representation, but I love her.
The mother?
Yes.
I have my thoughts on the mother.
Do tell.
Yes.
Okay, so and I want to preface this by saying I absolutely love and adore this show and everything that it stands for. I know that it's hard to please every single Indian in the US, especially considering this is the very first show of its kind. And it's trying to, you know, target so many Indians in the US with so many different ways of life. So it's hard to please everybody. But that being said, with the mom, I felt like it was never really clear with her character who she is. Like, is she this stern, traditional Indian mom? Or is she this modern, progressive, cool mom? I feel like they kept trying to, it was almost like they were tossing it back and forth, but there was never a set. So I never really knew what to expect from the mother because I didn't understand her character so much. There were moments where I'm like, oh, that's so like traditional, typical Indian mom. And then I'm like, oh, that's such a progressive mom living in the US. But it was it never sat with me.
Definitely. I think Trina, you mentioned that last episode, right?
Yeah, I did, because it was, but I saw it a little bit differently than you, but it's because you have experience there, where I just assumed that it was her in an attempt to be the modern version of whatever she knows by flipping back and forth like that, because I just kept saying she has these harsh words, but no punishment.
It didn't work for me. And I have experience with this, and I know so many Indian moms in the US, and it just
would never.
For sure. Well, let's talk about Devi, because she was definitely going through it in this episode. And a major theme is her like identity crisis. And I can absolutely speak to this from, you know, being from a small island on Guam and being like a minority. I have had this identity crisis myself, you know, wanting to be Americanized, wanting to be very, very modern and acclimating to American culture and not showing that original side of myself. So I definitely want to get both of your perspectives on this, because I know we're all giving these different perspectives. So Trina, I'll start with you. What were you thinking on that?
Just on her identity crisis in general. I mean, she makes it seem, or the show makes it seem like these girls are in college, basically, and they have the wit and the brains of people in their late teens, early 20s. But this is a 15-year-old that we're dealing with. And so it's obvious that the identity crisis would be there, because she's got she's got Princeton on her mind. She's got Paxton on her mind. She's got her friends, but primarily she has herself on her mind because she's trying to avoid grief. And so I think that, you know, all of those things together, of course, you're going to have this giant identity crisis. I think most of the time she handles it well, but like they tee up in the beginning, sometimes she handles it like John McEnroe, and sometimes she, you know, has a breakdown, and sometimes she takes out on her friends and blah, blah, blah. But that's a 15-year-old just trying to figure it out, and she's had a lot of stuff happen to her.
Definitely. Shiksha, your thoughts?
Yeah, so as much as I didn't love the way they were portraying the mom, I love the way that they're portraying Devi in this aspect, just because it was so accurate. Being American, living in the US, all you want to do is fit in, be cool, be, you know, be American. But then you're thrown into these family events, these cultural events where you have to be Indian. I grew up with this, where I always said that I felt like I was living a double life because my Indians didn't understand my American life, and my American life didn't understand my Indians. So the line that she said in the show was, some people think I'm not Indian enough, and some people think I'm too Indian. And I think that that line alone will resonate with just about 90, if not 95% of the Indians living in the US. It was just such an accurate sentence because you're always just trying to find your way to fit in. But then I loved when she met with her friend Harish, the college student, and he said, you know, it starts to make so much more sense when you're in college. And based on my own experience and my friends, I would say that that's true. And I think that's just because you're maturing and accepting who you are.
Definitely.
And I love that he said his roommate was Native American who was embracing his roots, and not that just like it was like subtle, but Native Americans are not Indians.
Indians and
I didn't even catch that. Oh my God.
So
just to let y'all know it's different.
They could have said any culture. They could have said anybody, but they said Native Americans. So.
Yeah, that is amazing. I didn't even catch it, so I
good.
love that you caught that. That is perfect. All right, so Ganesh Puja happened. There was a lot going on, especially for Kamala as well. So she meets this. I'm so sorry. Like I don't know if they even gave her a name. But she is kind of like an outcast in the community because she basically did what Kamala is trying to do, you know, of not following her parents' orders, not going through with this arranged marriage, and kind of living the more American life that we talked about. So, Shiksha, from your perspective, what do you think Kamala was battling, or what do you think, did she make the right decision of getting back with Steve?
You know, I think that that's a tough question. I think that the reason she kept, you know, leaning towards doing the arranged marriage is because of her respect for her family, the love for her traditions and her culture. And I think that that's something that many Indians battle. Arranged marriages are very real till today. They still happen very often. So that wasn't far-fetched at all. But she's also living in the US, pursuing a career. So I think that that was a really good portrayal of a more Indian girl really battling between the two cultures. So yeah, I really did like that.
I love that. Well, the last thing that really happens in this episode is Paxton and Devi. So Trina, I want to get your thoughts on that because that's another kind of love quarrel. But I feel like Paxton kind of gave her just like this little bit. Like she was like holding on for like dear life. He gave her just enough for her to like stay on. So she's struggling with his identity crisis. And I feel like just for me, like what I think did it so much for her was that he validated her. Like she felt so invalidated this whole time. And she's like, God, I don't look good. I don't look cool. All these people are looking at me in this different way. And then he says, no, I think you look cool. You look great. And I was like, oh my God, like he literally just like, I think it was like the perfect thing for him to say at that perfect moment. And that's probably what just like took it to the edge for her. So I can go on forever, but tell me your thoughts.
I just thought that she went from having one of her fits, right? She was repeatedly kicking a locker, like nonstop, not just one kick, just repeatedly doing it. And he, you know, broke that trance by just existing, which I think is an interesting theme because that happens very frequently to her. She's going through something, Paxton shows up and suddenly she's over the thing.
He's in slow motion and I'm just like,
exactly. Who cares? Paxton's here.
That was so 15-year-old girl though.
Exactly.
Right?
It's perfect. And so when he, you know, tells her she looks nice in it, again, she doesn't expect anybody to be okay with anything that has to do with representing her family or her culture. And so with Paxton, yet again, you know, saying that she looks cool, that it's cool who she is, asking about it, what the what they were even doing there, you know, it's making it cool for her to be a little bit more like herself. So I thought that was great, the way they set that up.
Definitely. Shiksha, you have any thoughts?
Oh, I agree. I think even growing up myself, there are some insecurities that come with going out in public in your Indian clothes, looking different. I always loved it, but I've seen it on my friends. But when your friends, American friends, want to wear your clothes and think that you look cool, then it's just this extra satisfaction. Like, oh,
there you
okay,
go.
cool, you know?
You are.
I love that. Well, that is our episode. Yes, you are. We love you having you here. It's amazing. I love this like trio right now, by the way. I have to just say, because I feel like we just love this show so much, and there's 3 really different perspectives being brought for like, and it's crazy how it like we all touch on like some specific thing that happens in the show. Like we all have something really, really like relatable to the show. So I love this. I love this for us. Can't wait to talk about the rest of the season. But before we go anywhere, I want to jump to Trina, who has an amazing special segment for us.
Guys, real quick, I just want to know who everyone's Never Have I Ever squad would be. So I want you to pick 2 of the characters who you would want to roll with. I will start with mine, give you guys a little time to think. Okay, we're going to pretend like these 2 do not have a relationship, that they are separate people, but I would go for Kamala and Steve. Yes. I would want to roll that way. I find she is so funny, but so nice, has a level head, but is kind of looking off in the distance. I love her vibe. I want her to be around with me all the time, and I want Steve around for obvious reasons. Anybody else?
I'm gonna go with definitely Paxton. I'm so sorry. I just have to do it. Like that is just my number 1. And I also want to choose Fab because I love that for her. And I love reliving that moment in like my life of like, you know, that coming out, that struggling with that. So she would be my crew just so I can like, if I was in this age, like help her through it. Like I would be like, girl, this is like what I'm going to tell you. It's going to be okay, sister. Like,
oh yeah,
so, for sure. So Paxton, again, for obvious reasons, and then Fab just because I love her.
There we go. What about you?
This is based off of the whole show, right? Not this episode.
Yes, you can do the whole show.
Okay, then I would have to choose definitely Kamala.
Yes.
Just to keep me grounded and connected to my roots, but still fun and cool. And then Ben, because even though he I know.
But you'd want to hang out with Ben Gross?
Yeah. I'm losing it. But hear me out. I'm basing that off of the last few episodes.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah. Adjacent.
Because he showed a very different side to himself that we will talk about. And that is why I would choose him second.
Okay. I love that.
Oh, amazing. Okay, that was fun. Thank you for doing that.
I love you that. Realize Trina chose an Asian, I chose an Indian, and you you're right.
I chose everybody else. That's perfect. I love that. That is like amazing. Well, this show was amazing. Yes, so on brand. And that's our show, guys. It's been such a fun time talking about these 2 episodes. We are going to be here in the next 2 hours talking about 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So stick around with us. We'd love to be here with you all. Trina's going to pop off for an hour, but we will see her back at 8 p.m. And yeah, before we go, Trina, tell the world where they can find you on social media.
Yes, y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Hey Trina Dong.
Amazing. Shiksha, how about you?
Find me on Instagram and TikTok at I am Bolly Girl, where I post myself dancing to Bollywood dances. So go check it out.
Yes, we love that. And I am Bryant Santos. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at the Bryant Santos. Again, stick around with us for the next 2 hours. We'll be here talking about this amazing show that we love, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.